need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
My first question today comes from Indiana, and Heidi is writing. Heidi says, my husband and I bought a one-bedroom country cottage, our full-time home, from the 1900s. We bought it 2 years ago and are slowly renovating what's necessary and touching up the rest with paint, light fixtures, and small updates. We started with the kitchen, which was the room that was in the worst shape. We replaced the cabinets, the flooring, repaired the walls, and now I am to the decorating part. Yay! At the time of the renovation, I was into the gray phase, but I am not thrilled with it anymore. I've shifted to wanting more classic, warm tones, and it would be more true to this old home. What color would you recommend that I paint the cabinets? How about the knobs? I'd love to hear your professional advice for this kitchen, which is my favorite place in the house. I'm looking for inexpensive touch-up recommendations. The walls are white and the countertop a marbled black. The ceiling and door trim has yet to be painted, but will be white. All right, Heidi, let's dig into these pictures. And guys, if you want to see Heidi's pictures, you'll want to follow us on YouTube. So we have an Affordable Interior Design channel on YouTube. And just full disclosure, my son mocks me every day because he also has a channel on YouTube, Despicable Duck, if you're into Roblox and inane videos by teenagers. You'll not want to miss it because he puts one video up and an hour later he has like 1,200 views. And I put one video up and 3 weeks later I have 10 views. And he likes to compare our channels, so he'll give me the update every day. He'll say, Mom, I put a video up on Saturday and I already have 10,000 views. And he'll say, Mom, you put a video up on Saturday and you have 12 views. Now, I'm not saying I'm trying to beat my son. This is not a competition. But guys, come over and see Heidi's pictures. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so I can save face in front of my tween, because he thinks he's a lot cooler than me. And I mean, I think it's been confirmed, but I'd like to at least give him a small run for his money. So head over there, check out the pictures, see what I look like in person, and make sure you subscribe. Okay, so Heidi, these pictures are very illuminating. I love that it feels so cozy. It truly does feel like a country kitchen. You've got some exposed shelves that are rustic wood. You've got white cabinetry on top with gray cabinetry on the bottom. You've got a woven light fixture above the sink, and the sink looks to be a deep farmhouse sink, which I love. And then you've got stainless steel and black appliances. There's a lot going on in this small kitchen, especially with the beadboard ceiling. There's a lot going on. It's definitely got the farmhouse vibe. You know what I don't love for a farmhouse, and this is going to be controversial, but I do feel like the whole modern farmhouse is on its way out, as well as the gray. So I'm going to say this with confidence. I never truly liked an all-white farmhouse. I don't think that pure white is innate to a house like this. I would highly recommend painting the walls a color because in addition to your stainless steel fridge, you have a white stove and you have a white freezer. And there's just too many tones of white that aren't exactly matching. And so everything's looking a little off, and it's certainly not looking luxe. So the number one thing I would do is paint these walls a tone. Even if it's just a warm beige or something like that, it will definitely help to warm up the kitchen and make it feel less in flux, make it feel like you've started to make some choices. The other thing I don't love in the kitchen are the cropped curtains. I don't love curtains in a kitchen because they do tend to get greasy with the stuff from the range and just, food stuffs in general. But here I just think that they look blousy and ill-fitting. I would be much more inclined to do a blind in this moment, and I think it would be a much cleaner look. I would also remove the drapes in front of the window above the sink, and turn that into a blind as well. I think it will look less baggy-saggy, and right now there's a little bit too much going on for my tastes. Now let's get to the question you actually asked me, Heidi. You actually asked me what color you should paint the cabinetry. Now, right now, you have the uppers and lowers a different color. And I'm okay with that in a room that has a lot of cabinetry. It can break up that dense sort of block of one tone. But in this case, you have very few uppers, a lot of exposed shelving, and the lowers aren't that overwhelming in terms of quantity. I would make them the same. I would make them probably not white. I'm open to white actually, depending on the color of the walls. Because I definitely want to move that away from white and maybe do that ceiling, the beadboard on the ceiling in the white. So yeah, white could work for both. Or something that I think would be more fun is to do like a color. I am seeing in here with these sort of ashy gray wood floors, I am seeing like a sage green. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Like a sage green or a gray blue. I'm a little bit over the navy, and I think it would be too dark for this kitchen, which doesn't get a ton of natural light and seems to have just standard ceilings. But I really think a sage green would not only feel super country home, but would also add that touch of warmth you're hoping for, because green, while classified as a cool color, does have yellow in it, which makes it warm. I think that would just be stunning. And then do some simple blinds and the off-white wall color that leads toward beige. And then I would reduce a little bit. In here you have like hooks on sort of a hall tree on the side on some shiplap. Then you have a hook on the door. Then you have some hooks above the stove. Then you have a ladder that's holding baskets above the freezer. There's just a lot going on. And while I can appreciate the maximal feel of, say, a farmhouse, for me, it's starting to feel cluttered, especially with the open shelving across the room. Less is going to be more with open shelving, and less is going to be more in a smaller kitchen. Heidi, when you ask me a question, you always get a little bit more than you bargained for. So I hope that helped, and I hope it gives you some ideas on how to move in a slightly different direction. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy, who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller, who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.